her break into something more than a walk. She walked away from it. By then, I'm still standing there, and this thing walked by me. Now, I'm wondering why it's here. And I said, "Hi." And it turned this close to me and said, "Hello." And then just continued to walk. Walked right past me like I wasn't even there. Toward her. I thought, well, okay. It has an assignment. We don't know what the assignment is because it will not give up its intention behaviorally before it carries out its assignment. And I wasn't sure if it was armed or what, so I walked by it again. This is how slow it is shuffling. It walks like it's got poop in its pants. I mean, that's how you can. I mean, they are clearly not comfortable in the skin. I walked by it again. Now I have made certain adjustments to the firearm I had on me because I was figuring that whatever was going to happen, it was going to happen fairly soon. And if it pulled a weapon out, I was going to do what I learned in the police department and do it well for probation. Got back to her, got all the way into her apartment, locked the door. I then said, "You go get your gun. If it pulls a weapon out, you've been a former cop too, do what you do, and do it well." By that time, we were both shaking, figuring, it was going to turn into something very bad. It sat down on the stairway outside of her apartment, and it had a bag with it. It was a black bag of some sort, and I didn't know what was in it. It could have been anything. And it just sat there. And then it got up, and it walked past her apartment. And now I'm looking at her like, what the hell is this? Still no security. Finally, after it had made its way all the way to the basketball court area, and stood there and looked around, still confused. Security came up with its weapons, drawn, and took it into custody. Put it in one of the vans, and off it went. They cuffed it, like a human being would be cuffed, and they took it. She got a couple photographs off. We actually, because it walked down toward the court, I was looking through the window and said, well, there's no way it could hit us from here, even if it does have a gun on it or whatever. She stepped out onto her porch and she took a couple photographs. It was a disposable.
I found a disposable camera. It was up on the bookshelf near the door, and I just grabbed it, and that's all I had.
She took a couple photographs of it, and we have since made those public on the Eagles Disobey forum. Those are real. It's the real McCoy. The best I could do, the enhancements that show one after another with it, bringing it out from the background. Those are the best enhancements I could do, because the original photographs that we put up there too, you saw, it was just basically jet black. There was no carrying of the flash, and it was not set for night speed or anything like that. It was an indoor-outdoor type daytime camera, a disposable camera, but it was all that was available. Now, security took photographs and all of that, but they don't share them. Right. At the same time, I was doing my weekly reports, and I detailed it in my weekly report, and I allowed that weekly report to be made available too, where I said, the MIB was taken into custody and no one was injured. But yeah, he just walked onto her property. Assignment, still to this day, unknown. Well, following 20 years of service for the Majestic, last October the 12th, which was October the 12th, 2005, I was dismissed at the time of their adjournment to complete a final set of orders, if you will, to present the information which I had learned over the last 20 years concerning the extraterrestrial intelligences to the world, or to whomever wanted to hear. For the last year's time, we have been committed to a debriefing of my service, since 1986, and even actually before that, we've ranged to speaking about my early life as well. We're hoping that within a short period of time, DVDs will be completed and this will be presented, and this will then conclude my service to Majestic with a very big relief, and thank God. Right now, we are presently in the middle of several different projects, inclusive of which is Project Lotus, which has basically been dispatched and dismissed to me after the years of service as well. This
Meaning
project,
it was turned over to you?
well, it's been turned over. I don't think that the folks from the former Majestic are continuing to research it all. I really don't think that they want anything to do with it after the problems that we've had and associated problems at a couple different facilities involving, we'll say, extraneous energy emissions around the project. Which have caused some damage to their equipment.
Well, to back up a tiny bit, could you tell us what is Project Lotus?
Sure. In May of 2001, we traveled to Frenchman Mountain here in Nevada to begin a real project looking for a biomarker for a possible precursor virus. It was a rather prosaic study looking for evidence for panspermia. During the course of that initial investigation, we came across some anomalous activity in some of our data sets. That anomalous activity was ultimately tracked down to very unusual electromagnetic activity associated with silicon oxides. And we have since tracked that anomalous activity to any silicon oxides present in minerals. To wit, the activity is the presence of an emission of electromagnetic bundles containing information. We are presently attempting to further define the nature of that electromagnetic anomalous activity. But we have, in fact, determined that the activity is associated with cells within the terrestrial environment, and that they have effects upon cells in our terrestrial environment, up to and including modifying the genetic material of extant cells in our environment.
Are you saying living cells?
Yes. We have, together with these electromagnetic emissions that we have defined with relative precision to date to be specific varieties of what we termed as particles. We had to call them something. They're bundles of electromagnetic material, confined discrete bundles, that we believe are possibly related to as far back as the ancient Pavitrakas of the Hindus, subtle matter particles, which could be imparted into our environment and affect changes. Thus far, we have not observed negative changes, meaning the effects of these subtle matter particles, if you will, have not affected our environment negatively.
But you have had interruptions as a result of those particles.
Well, we've had
anomalous activity, you said.
We've had anomalous thermal emissions when too much or too little energy was imparted to the silicon oxide bearing material. We have had unusual drains of batteries around the activity, and have not defined why. But there have been two phenomena associated with Lotus that have been particularly striking to me as a biologist. We've had resets of cells which have occurred, and I say resets because I'm trying not to make it sound Frankenstein-like.